The Canadian Security Intelligence Services had a mole, Surgeon Singh Gill, in Air India Flight 182. How did Surgeon Singh Gill have the ability to found the group that carried out the bombing, deliver the bombs, pull out of the plot just before it took place, get on the RCMP list of main suspects, and avoid even being brought before a court of justice? According to transcripts of RCMP interrogations obtained by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, Gill was a CSIS mole who was ordered to pull out of the group just before the bombing so that CSIS could not be directly implicated. The transcripts also detailed the destruction of wiretaps that took place in the wake of the bombings in order to hide CSIS's involvement in the attack. These stunning revelations are being downplayed in the mainstream media, as usual, but the fact remains that a mole of the Canadian Intelligence Service founded the group that ran the bombing, helped organize and pull off the bombing, and escaped without charge. The Canadian Security Intelligence...
Welcome to part 2. We're going to now break apart everything that has happened since that Flight 182. And in doing so, unravel the depths of China's influence through Pakistan in not just the Khalistan, but in a whole pile of other gangs and extremist organizations, all used to create fear, hate, and division, which politicians, especially the Liberal Party, have been using and still are using, as well as the dark money that's being made in Canada, the United States, the UK, and Australia. And this dark money goes to funnel nasty things. So before we even go there, I want to give you one more quick little history lesson. And in this, you need to understand that we are going to separate the idea, I'm going to use this word again, we're going to remove the whole ideology of the separatist. Personally, I have nothing wrong with separatists. If there is a movement and it's peaceful, and the objectives are within the majority mandate, then for sure you have a cause, and you should use every means other than violence in order to achieve that. The Khalistans aren't real separatists. The media keeps using this word in order to make it seem as though India's claims that these people are terror organization are false. We're going to debunk that. And we're also going to debunk all of the other little things that our media and our government has been doing to all of these other networks. And we're going to coalesce all of them together into this perfectly straight line that proves, first of all, our media is bought and paid for, which if you're a subscriber, you already know. Second of all, our government is corrupt, and obviously from the first episode, I woke up a lot of people who weren't even aware that CSIS was involved in the Air India, as well as probably the RCMP and a few others. Now, if you can imagine, this was 40 years ago, and this has been allowed to grow. So how deep do you think these organizations have dug their claws into the rest of Canada, which I've brought up again previous episodes? They're involved everywhere. They're in the border agencies, the policing agencies, they're in the schools, they're in government, they're in CSIS, they're everywhere. I'm going to start off with this history lesson. We're going to get rid of this idea of they're separatists, because that's the furthest thing from the truth. They have one purpose and one purpose alone. That is to destroy India. And the same saying they've been using for a long time is death by 1,000 cuts. So once again, I'm going to use, I just adore her. I can never say her name. I just can't pronounce it, so I'm not going to crucify it. But let's take a listen.
The Khalistan movement is now history. It has lost the support of the Sikh community in India, but the ongoing protests near New Delhi have turned the spotlight on this long dead movement. One issue is being used to reignite another. Hashtags have been flying, demanding a separate Sikh state. Rallies are being held outside India by Khalistanis. How did a protest in India become a debate about Khalistan? What exactly is the Khalistan movement? How did it begin? Does it still have support in India, or is it just a tool for foreign forces to stoke unrest in India? The story begins in the year 1929. Motilal Nehru presented the Purna Swaraj, the Declaration of Independence, at the Lahore session of Congress. There were three groups of people who opposed it. The first was Muhammad Ali Jinnah of the Muslim League. The second was Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar campaigning for the rights of Dalits. And the third was Master Tara Singh.
Now, for those of you who have read and studied Gandhi, which I have, and I also watched the movie with Ben Kingsley, Sir Ben Kingsley. He did a fabulous representation of him, and the movie I thought was probably one of the best kind of biography style movies done on a famous person that I'd seen. All of these individuals that she just listed were part of what was going on with Gandhi when India seceded from the Commonwealth and became their own independent nation.
Of the Shiromani Akali Dal. This was the first ever articulation, the first ever demand for a Sikh homeland. By 1947, the demand turned into a movement. The Punjabi Suba movement, the partition of India, divided the state of Punjab into two. The Akali Dal wanted a separate Sikh Suba or province, a separate Sikh state within India on linguistic grounds. The States Reorganization Commission rejected the demand. There were raids and protests. The movement lasted 19 long years, all the way till 1966. That's when the Indira Gandhi government finally relented. It divided Punjab into three parts. One Sikh majority state called Punjab, another Hindi majority state called Haryana, and the third part was Chandigarh, a union territory and a shared capital of Punjab and Haryana, and some of the hilly regions were merged into Himachal Pradesh. The trifurcation did not really solve the problem. Some were not happy with the areas allocated to Punjab, others did not like the idea of a shared capital. So in 1973...
Okay, so now back to Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi wanted to keep India unified, but he slowly came to realize that it was impossible. They were so amalgamated, these societies, but there were sects that no matter what, they were using violence, they were using whatever. So he, through his preaching, through his ideology, had kept this violence down and recognized that even though he was against it, separating these states off would keep the peace. So he had, huge meetings, and he delegated with hundreds upon hundreds of people on how best to do this. He was, of course, later on removed by an extremist, which was one of these people. He was actually, the guy that actually did it was actually kind of a disciple of his, and then kind of went off into this, he started following the wrong people, which was kind of this money, this backing and funding from outside sources, and that became kind of Gandhi's demise. But through that, they did peacefully, after he had been removed, they had peacefully figured on how to create these states, and they did it through voting. They did it through, like I said, they were having huge meetings. At some of these meetings, like 10, 15,000 delegates would be there, and they would discuss on where to draw the lines and how to do this. Can you imagine dealing with that? So all of these individuals were kind of involved in that part and parcel, but through peace, negotiation, these lines were drawn. But there's always that outside influence, that outside money that wants to destroy any form of democracy in order to ascertain power. This is where the Khalistan movement stemmed from. They had already pulled these states away. They had already had mass amounts of votes and delegates, and 99% of the people were happy. But the radicals, the ones who would do anything in order to achieve power, they wanted to take land, they wanted to take businesses, they wanted to take power. And when they realized they were left out of the loop because of their, well, tyrannical kind of, power monger ideology, the Khalistan movement was then born with the help of dark money.
Sikhs demanded autonomy for the state of Punjab. This is the Anandpur Sahib Resolution, a document that sought the right for Sikhs to frame their own constitution. By the 1980s, the resolution got a lot of traction. It found supporters. The biggest one was Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale, a Sikh scholar who later turned into a militant. He had been campaigning across Punjab, but his views were too radical. Khushwant Singh, the famous Indian author, described Bhindranwale as a man who, quote-unquote, exhorted every Sikh to kill 32 Hindus to solve the Hindu-Sikh problem. In 1982, Bhindranwale joined hands with the Akali Dal to launch a civil disobedience movement that soon turned into insurgency. Bhindranwale became a dangerous cult figure. No rules, no scruples, no morality bound him. He resorted to extremism. And to escape arrest, he took up residence inside the Golden Temple. For 2 long years, the government of India did not act. New Delhi dragged its feet. Finally, in June 1984, Delhi intervened with Operation Blue Star. The media was blacked out, all travel was suspended. This was perhaps the biggest internal security mission undertaken by the Indian Army. 83 soldiers died. 249 were injured. At least 493 militants were killed. Operation Blue Star ended on the afternoon of the 10th of June, 1984. 4 months later, on October 31st, 1984, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her 2 Sikh bodyguards. Anti-Sikh riots followed. An estimated 8,000 Sikhs were killed. No one knows the full picture to this day. But this led to 2 decades of unrest in Punjab. There were multiple attacks by Khalistani separatists in India and abroad. This included the 1985 bombing of an Air India flight over the Atlantic, the 1986 assassination of General A.S. Vaidya, the 13th Army Chief of India, and in 1995, the Chief Minister of Punjab, Beyant Singh, was killed in a car bombing. All attacks were claimed by Khalistanis. Many Khalistanis found safe havens in the West. They began reinventing their narrative, promoted militants as heroes and martyrs of the faith. They used the Sikh diaspora for diplomatic and financial support. A number of pro-Khalistani groups propped up in the US, the UK, Germany, Canada and Pakistan. And the most notorious of them all is Sikhs for Justice, SFJ. And this man is the face of this body. A law graduate from Punjab University, currently an attorney in the US. You'll find his videos on social media. This man wants Greater Khalistan, with headquarters in Lahore, which makes it amply clear who's driving the bus of his Khalistan cause. Pakistan. The same Pakistan where countless Sikhs were murdered and expelled in the name of Islam in 1947. In 1971, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the then Prime Minister, had told reporters that Pakistan would tear off a piece of India to avenge the loss of East Pakistan. No prizes for guessing which piece they're eyeing. Khalistan. The current Prime Minister of Pakistan tries to be subtle about his strategy. In November 2019, he reopened the Kartarpur corridor for Sikh pilgrims. Indian opposition leaders and ex-union ministers attended the inauguration. But so did notorious Khalistan supporters from Pakistan, like Gopal Singh Chawla. It was quite clear that what India saw as a pilgrim's corridor was in the eyes of Islamabad a potential Khalistan corridor. The Pakistan foreign minister called it a googly.
और आपने देखा और दुनिया ने देखा, पाकिस्तान ने देखा कि
You saw the world, you saw Pakistan, saw that yesterday Imran Khan threw a Katurpura googly.
A country that wears multiculturalism on its hat. The Canadian Prime Minister played to the galleries by visiting the Golden Temple on his visit to India. Do you know who was part of his entourage? Jaspal Atwal, a separatist convicted of trying to assassinate an Indian minister. And if this was not enough, the same year the Canadian government went on to remove Khalistani extremism from its report on terrorist threats vis-a-vis India and Canada.
Now, that is very important what she just pointed out there, because not only was he part of the Khalistan movement, he was also involved with a lot of Pakistanis' push, which was funneling dark money to other organizations, and some of them were actually gangs, and they were setting gangs up. They were literally getting these gangs started with piles of dark cash, mostly from China, funneled through Pakistan, as well as Pakistan money as well, because Pakistan wanted to increase their borders. They want India, and China is using this chaos in order to crush both of them. But Pakistan, obviously, they're unaware. The majority, there are good Pakistani leaders who see this going on. They are fighting the same fight that Modi is also fighting. So this isn't just Pakistan as a whole. So I'm not labeling all the Pakistanis. You can't do that. It's just certain people who have rose to power through dark money that are doing this. Now, our idiot king, the first idiot king, because we got another idiot king now, this is how daft, either he's completely daft, which we know he is, but also in cahoots. He's using this fake movement that doesn't even exist anymore in India. It doesn't exist. They're using this as a vote base. Remember what I say, I studied propaganda. Fear, hate, and division. If you can get those three collectively and use the biggest strong arm a government has, which is propaganda, and let's just say the Liberals own CRTC. They control the airwaves. Everything you see and hear on the radio and on television, satellite, that's of course like through Bell, the CBC, and all the rest of them, is all propaganda, which I'm going to prove to you as this goes on. He was using this. So his entourage, the people within his own caucus, his own party, knew who this guy was. They were purposely doing it. They were working on behalf of China and their dark money in Pakistan, bringing this terror idiot into India. Not only embarrassing, but you're working for the wrong country. You're supposed to be Canadian. This is where the new Liberal Party is. They're not the old Liberal Party. They've been completely taken over.
So we would like to show Mr. Trudeau this 2020 report by a top Canadian think tank, MacDonald-Laurier Institute. It called the Khalistan movement a geopolitical project by Pakistan which threatens the national security of Canadians as well as Indians. If only Justin Trudeau could see beyond his vote bank politics. Then we have the United Kingdom, another breeding ground for Khalistani separatists. In recent years, we've seen violent demonstrations by Khalistanis outside the Indian High Commission in London. In fact, just 2 months back, a protest in London was hijacked by Sikhs for Justice. Pro-Khalistan flags were raised. Known Khalistanis like Paramjit Singh Pamma were spotted at the rally. At another protest in Washington, Khalistani separatists desecrated the statue of Mahatma Gandhi. In Rome, they vandalized the Indian Embassy office. They installed a Khalistani flag and scribbled Khalistan Zindabad on the walls. Do you see the pattern here? The Khalistan bogey has re-emerged globally. Foreign forces are using this dead movement as a tool to stoke unrest in India. Foreign governments are appeasing them to get votes. Thankfully, in India, the separatist movement is all but dead, which is why it is important to guard against those trying to reignite it. It is important to call out those who may want to hijack India's domestic issues, who may want to use a farmer protest to push a nefarious separatist agenda.
Now, do you remember the farmer protest? That's the one where Governor Turd got up and was criticizing. He was the guy who was trying to influence elections in India. It's not India interfering in Canada. It's the Liberal Party interfering, helping China to interfere in India. Now, we're just going to kind of start breaking all of this down. So the people who were involved in the Air India that were named off in it, and a whole bunch of others that weren't named, were disappearing, being eliminated since that plane crash. Later in the show, I'm going to allow, like I said, a journalist who's doing an interview with a kind of he does his own kind of video cast vlog thing. And she starts naming names and linking all of, not just Khalistan, the ISA, like the Bishnoi gang, all of this links back to Pakistan and China. And in the meantime, these people are being knocked off, and our media is lying straight to Canadians' faces.
One of the men charged and acquitted in the Air India bombing trial is dead after what RCMP are calling a targeted shooting in Surrey. For more, let's bring in our Andrea McPherson, who is at the scene. Andrea, what can you tell us?
Well, it's been quite the chaotic scene here at 128th Street and 82nd Avenue here in Surrey after a man was shot dead around 9:30 this morning. And we can tell you that we've been told that man is Rapudaman Singh Malik. Even though RCMP have not confirmed the identity of the victim, Malik had been acquitted in the 1985 Air India bombing in 2005. Now, Surrey RCMP will only say the victim was provided first aid by attending officers but died at the scene, and this is in fact a targeted shooting. People who have gathered here have suggested to us that this is a place of business for the victim. A suspect vehicle also found torched at 82nd Avenue and 122nd Street nearby, and police still looking for suspects as well as an additional vehicle believed to have been used as a getaway car. There is plenty of community reaction also coming in on the death of Malik this afternoon.
He was a well-known figure, there's no doubt about it. He started that Khalsa College, Khalsa Credit Union. He's a founder of that. He's a founder of Khalsa School. He's done a lot of work in the community, but he's a bad apple.
Now, police are still looking for witnesses, surveillance footage, as well as dash cam footage. If anyone in the area has any to pass along, this as yellow police tape remains up in the area with word that Rapudaman Singh Malik shot dead here in Surrey earlier this morning.
Now, I'm not a mind reader. I only have so much documentation. But what I have pieced together from a lot of research, now this is my theory, is that he was part of this Khalistan movement. And you got to remember, this man's very wealthy. And I think what happened, this is my own opinion, but I believe he was kind of lambasted. I believe that he was thrown in through this investigation, through internal agencies, as a, call it a showpiece. Just somebody who, because of what he was doing in the community and because of what he was saying and doing, and in reality, I think Malik himself had, after that plane, what had happened, I think he realized as a Sikh that was against. Sikhs are natural protectionists. They're the guardians. This is why the most praised part of the Indian military are the Sikhs. They are like classed within India as the best of the best. If you are in trouble in India, you call in the Sikh regiments. They are looked upon with the most, like the highest regard because of their belief system. They are big brothers. They believe everybody is family. And I think that when this bombing happened, I think he realized, holy cow, this isn't what I want to be part of. So this is my opinion. And I'm going to back it up with just a clip that our mainstream, now you got to remember, this is propaganda. This is news.
Exclusive. This is a mega exclusive. CNN News 18 has now accessed exclusive intelligence note on the murder of Ripu Daman Malik, the acquitted suspect in the 1985 Air India bombings. Remember, he was shot dead in a case of what seems like targeted killing in Canada on Thursday, which was just yesterday. Now, we have accessed this exclusive intelligence report. The note, that intel note, states that Malik was clear not to allow the Akal Takht Jathedar to use his school or college stage to speak against India. Now, it's also important to note the other aspect of this intel note. It states that earlier on 17th January this year, Malik had written a detailed letter addressing it to the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, praising him for taking tens of initiatives to redress the long-pending grievances of the Sikhs. The letter virtually rattled anti-India elements in Canada. Now, Khalistanis backed by ISI are behind the cold-blooded murder of Ripu Daman Malik.
Did you catch that? He was taken out by his own organization. Why? Because after that airplane went down, all those innocent lives, he fell back to his religion. He fell back to Sikhism. And he realized the wrong. He realized that this entire movement was false and was actually an extremist organization. Especially since back in India, the whole Khalistan is gone. It don't exist. It was a blip that occurred, that society woke up. The Indian society woke up and realized they needed to bond and unify in order to stop this from ever happening again. And it made them open to the reality that China and Pakistan were trying everything they could to destroy India from the inside out. He actually had a phone call with Modi. He sent a letter, and he then praised Modi, because I think after, like I said, that bombing happened, I think he realized, wow, I don't want to be part of this movement. These people are nuts. And he was taken out because the Khalistans could not have, at any point in time, maybe he knew something, maybe, I don't know, maybe he knew something, who knows. But I just figure because he realized that this group was a bunch of psychos and not actually fighting for an independence, that he was removed because it looked bad for the Khalistan movement. And they couldn't have now this same man who's rich and was forming all of these different organizations that at one time were pushing for Khalistan to then flip over and go, whoa, Modi is actually, he's doing wonders. I now see what he's fighting up against. Crucial information that our media doesn't talk about.
This is also one crucial aspect of that intel note that has been exclusively accessed by CNN News 18. It is therefore quite obvious that there are concerted efforts to use unfair means.
So I just fast forwarded it just a hair.
So let's also take you was Ripudaman Malik's pro-India stance behind his murder? Here are some instances which have been cited by that intelligence note that we were also referring to. Didn't let his forum be used against India. That
Listen carefully. These are, like I said, this is why I believe what I believe.
is made amply clear in that intel note as well. Ripudaman Malik exposed anti-India elements on a talk show. Remember, he has been doing this. He's been taking a stand against all those Khalistani backed by ISI agents and those elements in Canada as well. He exposed agents as working on behest of Pakistan.
And I believe that was the final straw. The fact that he was proving, and he was trying to get out there, especially being Canadian. He wanted Canada, he wanted Canadian media to understand that all of this Khalistan movement they're all agents on behest of Pakistan. They are not a real organization. They have nothing left in India. India don't want them. They want peace. This is why he was removed. All of this culminates to the part one where now, how was he ousted like that? How was he removed without CSIS, RCMP, government? How come nobody's saying anything? Well, especially after what we know about how all this inside information, moles, the knowledge, all of this tapes, recordings were being deleted. Why? And now he gets removed. They've infiltrated every system. He was trying to expose it, and they removed him.
This is something he had also mentioned in the letter that Ripudaman Malik had written to the Indian Prime Minister earlier. He wrote to Prime Minister on January 17th this year, praising the pro-Sikh steps that had been taken by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Khalistanis are behind Malik's cold-blooded murder. This is what intel sources are telling CNN News 18. And efforts are on in Canada to scare voices aligned with India. This is another crucial aspect of that intel note that has been
very crucial aspect, because the media is doing this bidding.
Accessed by CNN News 18. And with that, let's all.
So we're going to move ahead now, and we're going to deal with Nijar.
And reach Nijar, that's the big question, because he was a person of interest for multiple entities. And he also said that the Canadian authorities told Nijar that he shouldn't go to his Gurdwara as usual and he should be avoid being seen in public. So if there was an alert about Nijar and safety and his safety, why? And these are the two people who have not yet been pulled up by the Canadian authorities, Rahat Rao and Tariq Kiani, the two ISI plants.
That Canadian officials, 6 days before his death, his son came right out and said he was in constant contact with CSIS.
In Canada, who are actually doing most of the ISI's work. Why is it that the Canadian authorities so far have not registered a single FIR?
And by the way, he's shooting those, in Canada. Those are illegal. Yes. No new law, no new liberal law. This is old law. Those are illegal. Fully automatic. Illegal.
They have not even put out a list of suspects. How is it? What credible reasons and allegations are they? Is Justin Trudeau actually talking about? Because it's the Canadian intelligence which itself flagged the Sikh extremism or these fundamentalists operating on Canadian soil back in 2018. So multiple questions that remain at this point. And we are given to understand that there are more and more events or also instances and evidences that
Canadian authorities gave access to the boom boom men. This is what their intel's telling them.
Thing in terms of who controls the turf, who controls the market, and it was also getting, it's about cuts and it's about pay of the market. So that's the reason why, and the ISI had enough of Niger. The ISI had coopted this back in 2017, that the ISI was trying to co-opt him and trying to use him for their narrative and for their own agenda. But now it looks like somewhere that he had become a person of non-interest or non-utility, or he had become too big for their boots, for their liking, and they wanted him out. So it was a classic case of trying to kill two birds with the same stone: get off or do away with Niger, bump him off, and then blame it on India and try and misdirect.
Sure.
Now, if you heard him, it was drugs, extortion. This is gang wars. And Khalistan has nothing to do with a separate independent state. These are gangs. This is a gang war. So he was starting to separate himself from the idea of kind of the Pakistani help, still using the Khalistan movement, but completely transitioning and taking over the drug trade, the gun trafficking, now all of the rest of the illicit extortion and everything else that the Khalistan movement is part of. In that internal battle, the ISA went, wow, we can't have this. We need we got a different leader in mind. Bang, bang. Remove him. Use the infiltration within our own Canadian country through CSIS and the RCMP and the government, of course, and the media to push this more anti-India while allowing all of this to go on and keep growing.
Akanksha, we both know that how world is looking at India right now. You know, with regard to the Indo-Pacific strategy, world is believing in India's growth story. World is India's GDP growth, and in these times when world needs India desperately to counter Chinese expansionist policies, Justin Trudeau, for the sake of vote bank for to get few more votes in domestic politics, is creating all this fiasco, this drama, and trust me, Akanksha, even his partners, his intelligence partners, his G7 partners also understand it very well. And when he says that he goes to Rishi Sunak, that Rishi Sunak himself pledged £95,000 to fight with Khalistani ideology.
So this is when the news had broke about how Australia went, no. That's not what we said. We said that there was definitely Indians involved in what had happened with Nisjar, but they didn't say that it was the Indian government. The states backed off. They went, no, and they even argued about this Washington Post, how the Canadians, all of a sudden, Canadian politicians skipped our own mainstream media, went down to the states and had this instant news flash. They were trying to kind of protect themselves because they realized everybody around the world caught Trudeau and all of the liberals lying. And the American government, and at this time, it was brain dead Biden and his administration. And they went, no. And this is when the Five Eyes was contemplating tossing Canada, because they realized China's infiltration was so deep that they were even used. We are not only infiltrated by China right out in the open through our elected officials. China's involved in everything, and now we are this breeding ground for all of these gangs and extremists. These are T organizations. Canada's breeding them with the help of our government, CSIS, the RCMP. We are so infected. These other countries, they went, no. Media in Canada, crickets. Protect the liberals. That's all they care about.
Prison for the past 10 years.
So this is all about, now I'd mentioned how BC, this is huge in BC, the Khalistan movement. A lot of these gangs. And this ties into Sam Cooper. and a lot of the other stuff that I deal with as well. And there's some great independent reporters that are dealing with this. This just shows you how corrupt our propaganda, our police, and our politics are.
On the second anniversary of the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, BC's Sikh community furious. 4 men have been charged and are awaiting trial. But the people ultimately responsible, they say, are hiding in plain sight.
India should not be allowed to operate with impunity in Canada by killing Canadians on Canadian soil.
This week, while Prime Minister Carney was hosting Indian leader Narendra Modi in Alberta, the Canadian Intelligence Agency releasing a report directly tying the Indian state to organized crime syndicates operating in Canada. National security experts point to the Bishnoi gang.
And through proxies, in this case the Bolshoi gang, they created basically a crime wave across Canada.
And police arrested 3 members of the Lawrence Bishnoi gang.
The gang, founded by Lawrence Bishnoi, is said to have operations across India and around the world in countries with large diaspora populations. The Bishnoi boys have been tied to the Nijjar murder, have claimed responsibility for a recent murder in Ontario, and have been linked to many of the extortion attempts around the country.
The problem here is that the head of this gang is in prison for the past 10 years. So it seems that this gang is being used by the government of India to once again orchestrate violence and terror here in Canada.
The extent of the connection so clear, police agents...
And by the way, don't trust him, that whole World Sikh organization, that's a cover. That man, he's a Khalistani. He's in it. He may not be part of all of the illegal parts kind of going on because he has to keep his plate clean. Don't trust that man. He doesn't speak for true Sikhs in India and the ones here in Canada. That is a front. And the media uses him all the time. All the time. He was in the news here not long ago because they were saying how even Jagmeet now, they had to have bodyguards around. This is all gangs, people. These are gangs. He's just a protectionist for these gangs. It's just an outlet, heavily funded by outsources.
Agencies across the country have gone public with their concerns. Tuesday, Premier David Eby urging the federal government to list the Bishnoi group as a terrorist organization. Mark Carney dodging questions.
Yes or no, did you bring up the murder?
I refer to my previous answer.
The new Liberal government, faced with economic uncertainty, seems willing to look away from security threats and foreign interference.
Now, leave it to Carney. He's a Liberal. Did he show up at the Air India anniversary to wish condolences and tell them he's going to fight to try and expose what really happened? No, he's just like Trudeau. It's the same Liberal Party, people. Now, here's the truth.
There are 26 extradition requests pending with the Canadian side. These are over the last decade or more.
Listen carefully. These are the names of the people that our media, politicians are using, saying that India used these people to eliminate these people, where India has been trying to extradite them for decades.
Some of the notable ones who've been charged with terror and related crimes, I would like to name them. They are Gurjeet Singh, Gurjinder Singh, Gurpreet Singh, Lakhbir Singh Landa, and Arshdeep Singh Gill. They are wanted in terror charges, as I told you, and also some related charges.
Terror charges? He wants them on Canada's terror list. Why is there nothing happening?
We have shared security related information with the Canadian government regarding gang members, including those of Lawrence Bishnoi gang.
There's the Bishnoi gang. They've been telling the Canadian government, they've been telling their contacts within CSIS that these people are violent, that there are gang wars going on Canadian soil, funded by China through Pakistan. This has been going on for decades. And if you watched my previous episodes where I exposed Trudeau Sr., this has been going on a lot longer than decades. Like, we're talking 40, 50 years. They've infiltrated our society and they've been allowed to grow. India's been on this. This isn't what our media tells us. This is why India's going, what are you talking about? This is why the States is backed away. Australia's backed away. New Zealand is backed away. Even the UK is starting to back away. Carney is no different. It's the same party.
While we have exchanged and given these information, so far no action has been taken by the Canadian side on our request.
None on request.
So this video actually puts into question all of those people who are saying that, oh, he's an innocent Canadian citizen and he was murdered by Indian agents on Canadian soil. The second point that we're talking about is the citizenship itself. Remember in 2007, when Nijjar ran away from India after he was facing criminal cases here, he took refuge in Canada. At that time, it was found that he was carrying forged documents. There was an effort to try and move him out of the country. He tried to claim asylum, saying that I'm being tortured by the police in India. That asylum request was denied. He tried to apply for citizenship. That was denied. Then he got married to a woman in British Columbia, and even then when he tried to apply for citizenship, that was denied because it was found that he carried out a marriage of convenience, and now we are being told that he's a Canadian citizen. Well, here is what that Canadian citizen was seen to be doing in 2015. How he became a citizen, nobody knows. Back to you.
So very interesting details which are now
very easy how he became a citizen. Now I'm going to take you to that interview that I keep kind of preluding to. Listen very carefully.
Maybe a lot of this was not there in 2016-17. It was during those periods that many of these people escaped and they found it convenient to go to Canada, where they found asylum. Now in Punjab, one political party in particular, which gives you a letter for a fee. They give you a letter on their letterhead for a fee, saying that you have threat from the police in India, you are an endangered person and you should be given asylum. I think the going rate when I last checked was 80,000. The gentleman has also given interviews to publications saying that, look, I have to run my party, why should I not do it? If I remember correctly, there was one on the print as well, which we'll share with you. So Canada has become the recipient of these. So the second point is that as the Canadian government and RCMP themselves said, that these gangs exist in Canada, because only when gangs exist, there can be gang warfare. They only accuse India then of exploiting these gang rivalries by aligning with one gang. That is the Lawrence Bishnoi gang, and Lawrence Bishnoi is now in Sabarmati jail. He's been in 7 jails over the past 10 years, including maybe a period of a month when he escaped from custody while being taken to a court. About that, we'll talk in a little bit of detail when Bismi Taskin joins us.
So in other words, this gang is so powerful. They have got so much money. And it's not just the Bishnois, because the Bishnois are tied to the Khalistans, the ISA, and a whole bunch. And there was a partner Bishnoi had that is separated. And even though they're separating and they're kind of semi-warring against each other, they still help each other out. They are paying off guards. They are paying off politicians. Modi is aware of this. His government is aware of this. They keep warning Canada about this. This is all lies on propaganda. He just straightened it right out. We're going to move ahead, and you're going to see more of him because he brings in a guest who is under protection services because of everything that she exposes.
Hindu group urges Trudeau to ban Pannoon from Canadian soil, raising strong objection to Khalistani terrorist Gurpantwant Singh Pannoon's hate speech. The Hindu Forum in Canada has sought a ban on his entry into Canadian territory. The Canada-based Hindu group alleged that Pannoon spread fear among Hindus and Indians living in Canada, highlighting the fact that Pannoon is a declared terrorist and his outfit seeks for justice, a banned organization in India. Hindus have urged the Canadian administration to deem Pannoon inadmissible into Canada. The Hindu group also highlighted a recent video by Panoon where he threatened all Indo-Canadian Hindus to leave Canada. Panoon has been accused of supporting violent extremism in Canada. Earlier, Canadian MP Chandra Arya also raised Panoon's hate rant and how Hindus feel threatened and targeted on Canadian soil.
Now, does that name sound familiar? Who did the Liberal Party kick out and then use his riding to get Carney elected? Previous episodes, I blew this out of the water. That would be Chandra Arya.
The Hindu Forum has taken the step of sending a legal letter to the Ministry of Immigration, pointing out what Gurpatwant Singh Pannu has said and its impact on the Indo-Canadian community in general. What is happening within the communities? Are we really seeing a rift between the Sikhs and the Hindus in Canada?
I don't think there's on a broader scale there is a rift between the common Hindu and a Sikh within Canada. However, there is a minority within minority which has been on the on the attack on Hindus, and that is where the problem is, and that is why we have written a letter to the minister, and we are requesting the government to stop this hate which is going on against the Hindu community in Canada.
So I can't stress this enough. The majority of Sikhs are not this organization of Khalistan. Khalistan is a small minority. They are a gang. The Sikhs I know, are incredible people. They are protectors. It is in their will to look out for those smaller or persecuted. The Khalistan are the exact opposite. Treasure the good Sikhs you have in your areas. They are amazing people.
Few days back, Khalistan movement leader in Canada and president of Sikhs for Justice, which organizes the so-called referendum, Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, attacked Hindu Canadians, asking us to leave Canada and go back to India. I've heard from many Hindu Canadians who are fearful after this targeted attack. I urge Hindu Canadians to stay calm but vigilant. Please report any incident of Hindu phobia to your local law enforcement agencies. The Khalistan movement leader is trying to provoke Hindu Canadians to react and divide the Hindu and Sikh communities in Canada. Let me be clear. Vast majority of our Canadian Sikh brothers and sisters do not support Khalistan movement.
Do you hear that? He is absolutely correct. Don't look at a Sikh and think Khalistan. They're not. Real Sikhs and Hindus get along. They even share temples. They treat each other as brothers and sisters. The Khalistan are not. They are an extremist organization. They are infiltrators. They are evil. Let's move on. This is down in the States.
The Hindu community has achieved a lot of economic success, and that tends to overshadow some of the very deep forces that are now attacking us.
I've also been very outspoken against any intimidation. We'll take them on publicly, privately, whatever we need to do, because it should never exist right here in America.
So after the Indian consulate in San Francisco was burnt, Khalistan and get warning from U.S. lawmakers. Discrimination against Hindus won't be tolerated in the U.S. U.S. lawmakers blast Pak-backed Khalistanis. Lash out at racist attack on the Indian embassy. After K poster threatens Indian diplomats in the U.S. Notice whose picture was on that. We'll take them on publicly, says Congressman. Khalistan Freedom Rally poster hails Harjit Nijar. Wanted K. Terrace Nijar was shot dead in Canada. They're trying to make him out to be a martyr. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. The Indian government declared Nijar a wanted terror lord.
I strongly condemn attacks on the Indian embassy, and the United States must strongly condemn such attacks and provide the protection these democratic institutions need.
A stern response to the attack on the Indian consulate in San Francisco by Khalistan forces, U.S. congressman came in support of India. Now this has all changed. This all happened right after the turd embarrassed Canada and was like accusing India of all these false claims. The administration has thus now changed. So this was during Biden already. Now this has all changed, and now we've got Trump administration in there. But the alphabet squads down there are still on the same path. They understand what's going on. And now they look at, well, they've always looked at Canada a little bit because Canada's always been protecting certain groups. But this last administration has had enough. They're like exposing it all. So we're going to move on here. This is a real Sikh in Canada.
वो कुछ लोग वो फोटो लेके चाट रहे हैं ऑनलाइन रेप थ्रेट दे रहे हैं फिर के
Oh, my bad. I'm going to have to let me see, first of all, split the screen. Where am I here? And I will read the subtitles that you can't see. Some people were liking my wife's photo, and then they was giving RAPE threats. I thought, what did I do wrong? I did not speak against Khalistan. This Sikh restaurant owner from London faced threats to his life, his family, after he posted a video on TikTok on the Khalistan movement. Harman's restaurant was attacked by pro-Khalistan supporters. I have been attacked thrice. When the first attack happened on February 25th, 5 people stormed and attacked us. The next attack happened on March 22nd on my restaurant. I received many calls that they are coming to KIL him. We called the police. 2 officers came after a half an hour. I thanked them for coming. They said, we came to order food. That time I felt really scared. I am a Sikh. Even Sikhs can also get scared. Harman, his wife, and 2 children have been attacked 3 times, repeatedly trolled on social media, intimidated by abusive calls. I have never heard of such languages. They lick our pictures, threaten to RAPE them, and even body shame them. There is no limit to that. Come outside the shop, we will end your life. I call the police and ask them to come. We have been attacked 2 to 3 times. The police came, but they didn't arrest them. The police said they have no proof. My friends put some pressure to know what happened. When the police checked the number, it said the number doesn't exist. The family went underground to dodge the threats, but had to come back to work.
10 days?
We went underground for 10 days. Our restaurant was closed, and my children missed their school and college. Mental stress because there was no support.
Or financial also, definitely, because we are paying our own pays.
This happened days after the Indian High Commission in London was vandalized by them. The attackers allegedly asked him to remove the post and raise slogans like Khalistan Zindabad, Hindustan Murdabad. They also told him to burn India's flag, or else he would be eliminated. The family is living in constant fear as the attackers are still at large. Why would I not speak on the issue? I am a Sikh. Because those who are doing this are maligning the Sikh community. They aren't Sikhs. They are sick, mentally sick people. Anguish Carmen Singh Kapoor asks, do we have to die for cops to take action? This is Canada, people. Why aren't the police doing anything when literally they're being that's breaking laws, threatening to remove somebody's life, threatening to do things to their wives and daughters. This is how corrupted our system is. Nobody is talking about it.
Of narrative wars, Canada is waging one with India. Their Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is leading it. He wants the world to believe that India is some rogue state, killing dissidents abroad, using diplomats to spy and flouting international laws. But New Delhi is setting the record straight. It has fielded the man at the center of this controversy. I'm talking about Sanjay Verma, India's High Commissioner in Ottawa. Canada had declared him a person of interest in the Nijjar case. So in protest, India recalled him. But before leaving, he sat down for an interview and he said two very important things. One, Khalistani extremists are Canadian assets. And two, Indian diplomats never spied on Canadians. Listen to this.
Khalistani extremists are being encouraged all the time. This is my allegation. I also know that some of these Khalistani extremists and terrorists are deep assets of Canadian Security Intelligence Service. Again, I'm not giving any evidence. It is all overt. There is nothing covered. It is all overt. We read the newspaper, we read their statements, we read their social media posts, and we infer from there.
Now, this loony is probably the guy that the ISI is going to rename as the new Khalistan leader. He has dual citizenship in Canada and in the United States. Listen to his words and tell me if you think this man deserves to be a Canadian.
Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal and you are watching the Mojo Story. One more threat by Khalistani terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, who lives in US and has a dual citizenship.
Don't fly Air India from November 1st to the 19th. Khalistani terror lord Pannu's new threat. This is why in previous episodes, when that plane went down in India here a week and a half ago, I was on the edge of my seat. I thought we were going to relive the past, thanks to our Canadian government and infiltrated security services.
Citizenship of US and Canada. In the latest threat, he has said that don't fly Air India from November 1 to 19. This according to a India Today report.
Now, this, I actually had the video, but it's all in, he's screaming in Indian. I couldn't understand him. But I wanted you to listen to this.
put forward their point. They have always spoken about that how these global terrorists have been trying to reunite themselves, and they are the biggest threat for the civil society. If you look at the chart sheet, it clearly mentioned that Nijjar was not a normal person, he was a global terrorist. And just a short while back, we also broke that information, that how these people have been providing visa facility to all those criminals who have been coming from different parts of the world.
So Nijjar worked to strengthen the KTF.
Talking about a global terrorist because Rinda, who is
He
based
conspired with
in
Dalla.
the Pakistan, and he is the BKI chief.
Formed gangs for terror in Punjab. Remember, these are all the links I've been trying
For
to
Pakistan,
get
is
everybody
based
to
in
see.
some other country. Then you are talking about all these Arjdeep Singh Dalla, who is also.
So let's just go to and name off some names.
Now there is more in this gang. Adding to the confusion, while Devinder Bambiha was killed in an encounter in 2016, Bambiha gang
by
has
Punjab
been,
police.
Yes, in an encounter. Bambiha gang has been taken over by Lucky Patial, who is believed to be in Armenia. Then there is Kaushal Alliance in this
It's
art
truly
triangle.
multinational.
Yes, it's international.
Because Goldie Brar,
yes.
who's like the number 2 in the Lawrence Bishnoi gang, is his.
So that was Bishnoi's buddy. They went to university together when they started the Bishnoi gang. When they started to take funding from Pakistan and China in order to cause harm to India, disruption. The same thing that China is doing here in Canada. They use drugs and whatever they can do, and now even the immigration system, to try to crush every single social aspect of society. They do it, they want, like it's a death by 1,000 cuts. Better than shooting a shot is actually allowing and giving the tools needed for a society to self-destruct. That is what's going on.
He's probably in Canada. He was definitely in Canada till 2022.
After Sidhu Walla's.
In Canada. Protected in Canada. Where's our media?
Sidhu Moosewala's murder.
Assassination, yes.
Right.
And then he was seen in America.
Yes.
And then lately he hasn't been seen.
Yes.
But
He's been
presumed to be in,
off-radar.
presumed to be in Canada.
Yes.
Presumably in Canada. Right.
Now, as per sources in the special cell, Naushad was working for a Pakistan-based handler who was working for the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and Jagjit was working for a handler who was connecting him to Arshdeep Singh alias Arsh-Dalla. Now we have read stories, we have seen news reports of how the Pakistan, how Islamic terror and Khalistan, Islamic terror and Sikh separatists often come down to create a law and order situation. Now this was a case where Jagjit and Naushad beheaded a man. How they identified the man? They don't know who they.
They've linked them to the point now enough times that they have evidence that the radical Islamist regime and Khalistanis are, now they know for a fact, this has all been proven, documented over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. This is where she is under protected services. She's been breaking these stories. Other reporters and journalists like her have been being eliminated. Again, India has been warning Canada. These people don't mess around. They don't want the truth out there.
The person is. They met this person roaming around asking them for money to buy drugs in a park in Balaswar, Delhi. They identified that he is a target after they saw the tattoo of a trishul on his hand, and then they killed and beheaded him. Now they also recorded this particular video, and Jagjit sent it to his handler to prove his allegiance to the Sikh separatist, to Sikh separatism, so that the handler sends it to Arsh-Dalla, and Naushad sent it to his Pakistan-based handler.
Yeah.
So in order for him to get initiated, he had to do this beheading. He filmed it, and then he had to send it for proof to both the Khalistan and the ISA, so that he could now be brought into and part of this more gang chaos to be shipped to Canada.
So to prove to you that we are worth your while, we are carrying this out for you.
Right.
So that was to prove to them that they could just kill somebody in cold blood for no reason.
Yes.
Scary. So remember, Fazilka, where Lawrence Bishnoi was born, is sort of bordering both Haryana, because more Bishnois live in Haryana than in Punjab, and more Bishnois live in Rajasthan. So that borders both Haryana and Rajasthan, and that's why the gang also spread initially in these places. Then it got to Mumbai and other places. Now, why did he kill, if he did? First of all, what is the evidence that Lawrence Bishnoi gang had Sidhu Moosewala killed? And if so, why did he put that hit on him?
So, Lawrence Bishnoi supposedly made a call to Goldie Brar in Canada, sitting in Tihar 4 days after the murder of Youth Akali Dal leader Vicky Midhu Khera.
Vicky Midhu Khera was killed in Mohali.
Right.
And apparently by members of the Bambiha gang.
Yes.
By the way, Devinder Bambiha, who was killed in 2016, he's called Bambiha because he hails from the village Bambiha.
So in other words, do you hear what she's saying? All of this funnels through Canada. These are all different gangs, but they're all linked. Even though at times they war against each other, through the ISA in China, they work together. They have one goal: destroy India. And China gets to knock off Canada as well, because all of this is happening here, and we are the drug capital of the world, people. We are known as the drug capital. They send in all the precursors, it gets made here, and then exported out. 1% of shipping containers, 1%, actually they say it's less than 1%, are inspected.
In generally the Moga area of Punjab, isn't it?
Yes.
So he was killed in a police encounter, but his gang endured after that. So why was Vicky Midhu Khera killed? We know that there was a Bambiha gang. We know that Bambiha also got killed in 2016. Other people took over his gang. But who killed Vicky Midhu Khera? And why were Lawrence Bishnoi and his partner hassled about his killing?
There is a lot of brotherhood and rivalry among these gangs. Bloodshed remains perennial throughout.
There's honor among thieves.
Yes, yes. So Vicky Midhu Khera, Lawrence Bishnoi addresses him as his brother, Bhai. Vicky Midhu Khera was accused by the Bambiha gang of interfering in their day-to-day businesses, putting spies or people to give information on their property deals, on their other sorts of criminal activities. So they got fed up with him, and then they killed Vicky Midhu Khera. Now, after the murder of Vicky Midhu Khera, Lawrence Bishnoi supposedly made this call to Brar and told him that we need to get revenge. At that time, the investigating team had also come out and realized that Sidhu Moosewala's manager at that time had something to do with this particular murder. Allegedly. He was also accused of providing logistical aid to the shooters at some point. Now, sitting in Tihar, Bishnoi started thinking about it. In this meanwhile, in 2020, Sidhu Moosewala had come out with this song with Amrit Maan, Bambiha Bole.
Watch this. See this still on your screen. We can't share 2 lines from the song with you for copyright reasons.
This is how they share their propaganda. So this song, 290 some million views. Brainwashing people. They allow it. They know what the song's about. And yet, our government allows it. It's hate speech. This is the same tactics that you see Hamas use on the Palestinian youth, that Iran uses on the Iranian youth. This is all learned in books. So if you read anything to do with the Marxism or any of that kind of socialist, communist, fascist ideology, some people read it as books that they can use to further their cost, when real, humans read it as points to look out for and what not to do or allow society to move forward with. I read them in that text as the humanity way. These are books written by evil people. Marxists just evil. You might as well just say Mein Kampf, right? I mean, all these ideologies, and they've put together a series in which they know how to brainwash, how to use propaganda, and how to infiltrate societies, starting from schools, working your way into the system, policing agencies, all the way up, government. This is where we're at. This is where Canada's at. This is sad. This is incredibly sad. Now, I know I'm running a little wee bit long here. I'm not going to play any. I'm going to link this. He speaks English. He's from Canada. And the title is 18 Years a Khalistani, Forever Indian. He's an ex-Khalistani. He talks about the reality of Operation Blue Star. He talks about the brainwashing. Then the reality of when real life hit him. And then he realized as a Sikh, that it was against everything that was part of his religion. I urge you to watch it in its entirety. I will post it, like I said, it'll be the first one, and I'll mark on it, must watch. As well as this interview. Where am I here? The one with the lady. This interview. I urge you to watch it in its full entirety. They divulge so much information. This lady is brilliant. She has connected so many networks back to Pakistan, back to China, all through Canada, United States, the UK, Australia, New Zealand. This is worth, if you really want to sit back and understand the depths, the names, the involvement, this is a great interview. And she's amazing. She really is amazing. I'm going to call that an episode. That's the end. I hope I woke a lot of people up. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. People need to know. People need to realize just how bad it really is in Canada. Perpetrated and pushed by propaganda, corrupted our governments, CSIS, RCMP, police. We have to end this. This has to stop. The mass immigration has to stop. We need to get on this. They are bringing these people in on purpose. We are a protectionist society to protect extremism. It's only downhill from here, people. You need to like, share, and subscribe. Please. Like I say, I get the word out there. Not only will it help me grow my channel, it'll help. People need to know. Sorry, just the truth, just the facts. I hope you enjoyed all of my homework. It took me a long time to build these files to try and get it all done so that I could kind of break it down and keep showing the links. And finding it in video form is really hard, especially in Canada. Again, I use an outside VPN in order to access a lot of the information. But the good thing is once I bring it in and I go through it and I can give you the links, you can then click on the link and you'll have no problem getting past our government censorship and protectionist of these extremist ideologies to actually see all of these video clips that I've used. And I urge you, that's why I put them there, for your knowledge, so you guys can educate yourselves and see what's really going on behind the curtain of the liberal propaganda. Until next time, you've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. Stay informed.